NewGenGamers.com.
And in America and in the industrialized world, in the capitalist societies, if you're not selling it and there's interest generated in it, then what are you doing? So Nintendo takes their lawyer, Mr. Howard Lincoln, a figure that would become very pivotal in Nintendo during many of their lawsuits and during what we're going to talk about with this game. So as Ray's intensely battling these falling blocks,
Yeah, I kind of lost track.
we're going to
there.
go ahead and let him stay focused on that, and I'm going to tell the tale of Tetris. So Howard Lincoln goes to Russia to try and procure this game. At the same time, the nefarious Tengen, owned by Atari,
Tengen?
was also trying to procure this game. As was another company called Bulletproof Software, who was just a software developer. All of them saw the potential of this great game that no one was selling and that was technically owned by Russia, which meant that it was fair game because Russia wasn't selling it. They just needed rights to it. So everybody all at once went to go get it. Everybody in the end ended up with rights to it. It was a huge mess. They ended up giving all three companies legal rights to it, so they had to battle out in American court who actually owned this damn game and who should be getting the money for it. So when it comes out of Russia as a retail release, we see three different versions. We see the Nintendo version, which is this, and the Game Boy version.
Which is by far the superior version, in my opinion.
We will get into that. We see the Tengen version, and we see the Bulletproof Software version, which is essentially the Tengen version. So the three of them all come out and are on the market and all selling. Nintendo continues to fight in court, and Howard Lincoln eventually wins and gets Nintendo full rights to Tetris. Bulletproof Software and Tengen have to quit making them. Tengen loses to Nintendo again. Tengen sucks. Bulletproof Software walks away with their tail between their legs, and Nintendo has one of the best-selling games of all time. They release it with their Game Boy system because they needed a killer app for the release of the Game Boy, and they didn't want another Mario game. They wanted something different, something that you could put in your pocket and pull out and quickly play.
Something that adults could get into, too.
Something everyone could get into, and this was it, and they knew they had to have it, and they got it, and that helped. You know, I'm sure the Game Boy would have made it anyway, but this definitely helped solidify its place in history.
Oh, that just gave the Game Boy, like, stomping grounds over everything else.
It gave it market domination for 10 years.
Yeah, essentially. Tetris just handed it the market.
So there's Tetris. Howard Lincoln, again, did such a great job with these court cases that Nintendo continued to promote him within the company to the point where after Mr. Arakawa left, he took over as president of Nintendo of America for a brief period, and then he moved on to become general manager of the Seattle Mariners baseball team, whom Nintendo also owns. Well, Hiroshi Yamauchi owns.
I was wondering if they still own them or not. I was pretty sure of it.
Yeah, Yamauchi still owns the Mariners, and Howard Lincoln is still in charge of them. So Nintendo fully still has their hands in that baseball team.
You know, with all that Wii money, they should be able to field a pretty decent team.
God, you'd think. But that's also why on the Super Nintendo, you saw
Ken Griffey
Jr.'s Major League Baseball. It didn't have all of the MLBA players. It only had the Major League Baseball teams and Ken Griffey Jr. The rest were made-up players.
You only needed Ken Griffey Jr. in those days.
Yeah, he was really good, and he didn't do it with steroids, kids.
Yeah, steroids are bad.
Ken Griffey Jr. was a real champ, but unfortunately, he didn't get regarded as highly as some of the steroid freaks that have come along. But you know, he's a Class A athlete, and seems like a good guy. I could be wrong. He could be a crazy prostitute screwing coke addict, but
No, he's actually
he never
pretty
got
stand-up
he never
guy.
got caught. We'll say so. As best we know, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I
Just
I went too far with that one.
no, Ken Griffey's a great guy.
We love Ken Griffey,
Yeah.
and so does Nintendo. So
Otherwise, they wouldn't have paid him so much money.
yeah. And also, here's an interesting side note. Nintendo owns the Seattle Mariners.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he still plays because I don't keep up with baseball, but does Curt Schilling still play for the Mariners?
No, he plays for the Boston Red Sox.
Did he play for the Mariners?
I think. Not sure on that one.
Not sure on that
I
because
think he played for the Phillies.
because
He might have played for the
baseball's
Mariners.
pretty lame. But I'm just going to take that stance. But
Fair enough.
But Curt Schilling is a video game playing quasi-celebrity who plays EverQuest. So Sony Online hired him for an advertising campaign. So that's why I was just wondering if he played for the Mariners and if there'd be a conflict of interest there,
Oh, no.
advertising for Sony and working for Nintendo.
Yeah, I don't think that would work.
So just an interesting side note there.
I think that might be in their contracts. If you do anything for Sony Electronics, we will have to trade you immediately. Wow, these guys take their electronics seriously, don't they? Yes,
So-
they do.
Alright, so back to the beaten path. Nintendo scored Tetris. Tengen was once again shamed in court by Nintendo.
Motherfucker!
Oh, sorry, Ray.
It froze!
Well,
And I was almost up to 100 lines.
we should mention at this point, one problem with the Nintendo Entertainment System hardware in the United States was that sometimes it wasn't that reliable. The connectors that the cartridges connected with weren't always the best. The connectors on the cartridges would sometimes get messed up. So sometimes games would freeze up and quit playing. Sometimes it would take 10 minutes to get a game working because you had to cajole it into the system. So many people know this screen and the frustration that goes with having a really good game going and then it crapping up.
Freezes.
So here's another opportunity to say, shop at newgengamers.com. Shop.newgengamers.com. If you go there, you can purchase a Nintendo Entertainment System with a brand new 72-pin connector, which helps eliminate a lot of the load-up problems, but can't always solve cartridge problems like this. So, let's try something else.
Have you been Tetris-sized?
Square, rectangle, trapezoid, tetrazoid. Nintendo introduces Tetris. Put a piece here, put a piece there. Use your thumbs, use your eyes. Find yourself Tetris-sized. Now you're playing with power.
NewGenGamers.com.